Good morning. We will start session 2 on chapter combustion and flame. In our previous class, we understood about what is combustion, what are combustible, non-combustible substance. We also understood about what are inflammable and non-inflammable substances, ignition temperature and different types of combustion with few examples. So in today's class, let's understand more about fire control and flame. So basically when we talk about fire control, what is it? We are talking about putting off the fire which is in a very large scale, and that is done by fire extinguisher. So what is the role or what does a fire extinguisher does? Fire extinguisher basically puts off the fire. Now what we see usually in our TV, televisions or ads, anything, we see a big fire extinguisher where they just put off the fire by splashing lots of water. Or what usually you see in movies, TV and all, like whenever there is a fire, people just rush with the buckets of water, splashing over the buckets of water or the hearths or whatever is burned, right? So what is picturized, we always see that water is the main source which can put off fire. That is all into our head. But that is not the fact. Water is the not only source which can put off fire, but there are many such other sources which can put off fire depending upon the cause of the fire. Let's understand that a bit in detail. We first understand here, how do we control fire? To control that, first of all, three basic things we have to understand and we have to cut off. That is, we have to cut off the fuel which is letting the fire to grow more. We have to cut off the air supply because air is a supporter. Now we know that in yesterday's class what we discussed is air is a supporter of combustion. That means if a candle is burning and if I just invert a glass on a candle, the candle puts off. That means I am cutting off the supply. I am cutting off the air supply. Cutting off the air supply and cutting off the heat. Right? So, I need to see that I need to cut off these things or take care to put off the fire. Removal of the fuel, cutting off the air supply and cutting off the heat. We understand this. Before that, we also know that basically there are three types of fire extinguishers. We will not study them in detail, but just by names what you have to know. Dry powder fire extinguisher, soda acid fire extinguisher, foam type fire extinguisher. We only know the names here. Now basically what type of fire extinguisher we see around us? School, colleges, hospitals, restaurants, wherever we go, we have seen a red color cylindrical thing which is hanged on a wall, right? That is also a fire extinguisher. How it works? It works on a small scale, at least till your fire brigade comes. Okay. So let's understand in detail about these types, what we actually do to put off the fire. Here we don't study about these types of fire extinguisher. But sometimes in your school as a project or as a workshop, there are people coming from fire brigade to just educate or to give knowledge or information about the types of fire extinguisher. So they will give you all hands-on experience, or they'll show you all demonstrated what exactly and how exactly a fire extinguisher works. So now let's understand when I tell about we have to remove the fuel, cutting the air supply and cutting off the heat. First let us talk about cutting off the heat. Now cutting off the heat means basically what? Now anything which is burning or which is where a combustion is going on, if I put water on that, what will happen? Water cuts off the combustion. Why? Because water has a property to cut the combustion, cut the heat or put the fire off. That is what basically we have seen. Suddenly if there is a fire, we take a bucket of water, we just splash it. The fire is put off, right? But in a very small scale. But this fire can be put off only if the cause of the fire is by some, what you can say, if there was a lot of grass, lot of firewood was there, if fire is caused by that, water helps in cutting off the fire. We cannot splash water everywhere wherever there is a fire, because now since water being a very good conductor of electricity, now assume that there is an office and an office caught fire. Now office have all heavy electric appliances, they have machineries, they have computers, there are so many things, right? Switches, etc. If you splash or if you pour water there, what can happen? There can be a short circuiting or electric shock also. So water is not the only solution. True, water can cut off the heat. We agree that, because whenever there is a combustion, water cuts off the combustion. So if you have to cut off the heat, then water is used as a fire extinguisher. You got my point? Now suppose sometimes in movies you see there is a hut, or there is in a small village a hut is burning, right? There they can pour water, because in a hut it's made out of wood, grass and all, something like that. It can cut off. But if it is a multi-storied building, industry, factory, there you cannot splash water. Why? Because machineries, heavy appliances, electric appliances may suddenly burst out and can cause the fire to grow more rather than reducing it. So we can cut off only if it is due to heat. Water is helpful. Now what if I do not want to use water and I want to use something else? Carbon dioxide can also put off fire. Yes. Now basically what we talk about, what all small cylinders like fire extinguisher we have seen in hotels, school, colleges, etc. It is nothing but it consists of a liquid carbon dioxide. So when we press and compress that, the liquid carbon dioxide comes out as a form of a neutralized gas which can neutralize oxygen there, right? We are not discussing how exactly the working model of a fire extinguisher, but it is nothing but a liquid carbon dioxide which is there in the small cylindrical part. What does this liquid carbon dioxide do? This liquid, assume that now for example, this is some wire or something which caught fire, right? Electric wire. So this is a fire now. I just assume that this is a fire. Now this is a fire. So air is actually allowing the fire to grow more, because air is a supporter of combustion. Now what if I spray the carbon dioxide here? How? I mean carbon dioxide extinguisher, fire extinguisher in the form of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide will act as a blanket on the fire, right? It is acting as a blanket on the fire. That means this is now blanket of carbon dioxide, CO2 I will write here. But what is present everywhere? Air is present, that is oxygen is present everywhere. Now oxygen cannot come in contact with the combustible material. Why? There is a carpet, there is a blanket like thing which is nothing but blanket of carbon dioxide present. So what is carbon dioxide doing? Carbon dioxide is cutting off the supply of oxygen, right? So carbon dioxide also acts as a fire extinguisher if the fire is due to some electric appliances or some short circuiting, etc. So here I can't be splashing water, that causes more and more fire to grow. So carbon dioxide acts as a blanket. See, simple. When I put the glass over this one, there is no air, there is no oxygen, combustion cannot take place, correct? So the same thing happens here. Carbon dioxide can put off the fire. Carbon dioxide, yes, it can put off the fire. So that is a type of fire extinguisher, what we can say here. Now see, that means what are we doing? We are cutting off the air supply, right? Air supply is nothing but oxygen with the help of carbon dioxide. Here, the carbon dioxide which comes from that small extinguisher is also very cold enough. That means it can cut off the combustion. It can also cut the heat which is released in combustion, right? But this is the technique. So here basically what we have to know, fire extinguisher is a thing which is used to cut off fire, where fire can be cut off by water and by carbon dioxide. Under what condition? water is not used and why it is not used, we have to know that. And how carbon dioxide acts as a fire extinguisher, we understood in a very brief manner, right? So we'll move on to our next sector, that is flame. Now, we all know what is a flame, but here in science, if I have to define a flame, it is flame is the hot glowing body of ignited gas which is produced when something is on fire. Now, quite a complicated definition, but this is the definition of a flame, right? Anything which is burning is a flame, true, it is for our understanding. But definition of a flame is a hot glowing body of ignited gas which is produced when something is on fire. True. Now what are the different types of flames we see? We see the flame of a candle, we see the flame of the LPG. These are the basic two things what we get to see in our everyday life, right? If you go to a school laboratory, you can see a flame of the Bunsen burner. True. So what are the different things you observe in this flame? Now suppose for example, if I tell you, what is the color of the flame of the LPG? Which color it burns actually? You all might have observed. If not, today please enter the kitchen and you do not try that by lighting the lighter using this. When your mom is cooking, just go and just see in the kitchen what is the color of the flame of the LPG. So that is blue color. Just out of curiosity, also talk to your mom or ask her, suppose if your LPG is almost over and at that point of time she is cooking, right? So we do not know when the LPG gets over. Tentatively we know that 1 month, 1.5 months, but a particular time or a period when the LPG is almost over and she is cooking at that point of time, ask her, how do they know that now the LPG is over? Yes, we come to know because of the color change of the flame. Almost when the LPG is getting over, the color of the flame will be orangish yellow, right? Please, these things make a note and see to that if you come across this, that will be the most exciting thing. Why that is yellowish orange also I will tell you. The color of the LPG, LPG burns with a blue color flame. Okay, observe that today. Please you do not try that. Then when we light a candle also has a blue color flame? No, candle does not have a blue color flame. So when we light a candle, we see almost orangish yellow flame. Correct? It has a different color. Why? We will understand that. In your school laboratory, if you have a Bunsen burner also gives you almost bluish flame but a bit of yellow orangish color in that. So these are the different colors of the flame. Now what do the color of the flame will indicate us? Now about the color indication and about the flame, you have a detailed study in your 10th standard. There again you study a very small part called combustion, where you learn something about complete combustion and incomplete combustion. One thing you always remember, whenever there is a complete combustion, the color of the flame is blue color. Whenever there is an incomplete combustion, color of the flame is yellowish orange or orangish yellow, what I can say. This much only you understand. Nothing much in detail you need not know now. Complete combustion, that is why LPG burns with a blue color. And at the time when LPG is almost getting over, it burns with this flame because it is undergoing incomplete combustion. Right? Simple. Complete combustion, you can cook your food. Incomplete combustion, you cannot cook your food. Now even if the gas is on a high flame, that is in complete combustion, it is giving you a blue flame, you can cook the food. Almost the gas is getting over. It is coming in yellowish orange color. You have kept it in a full high flame. The food will not get cooked very soon because it is incomplete combustion. Right? It's enough if you know this information about complete and incomplete. Now let's more understand about the structure of the flame of the candle. What is the candle flame? Which are the different layers or zones in a candle flame? Let us understand here. Now when you light a candle, basically you see that burns with one single flame, right? There is no layers. Can you see layers? No, of course not. It is just one single flame. But if you observe it very keenly, it has a slight three colors. That is, when we draw, assume that this is a flame, it has an outer zone, it has a middle zone, and it has an innermost zone, right? So all the three different zones have three different colors. Let's understand them. The outer zone undergoes complete combustion. So which color it has to be? Complete combustion? Yes, it is blue color. Okay. The middlemost zone undergoes partial combustion. So it is yellow color. Incomplete or partial, what we can say there. The innermost zone is nothing but of vapors, which is black color. Right? Now, before I proceed with this, there are sometimes there are some magical tricks, or somebody will play saying that, see, I can hold or I can touch the candle flame, my finger doesn't burn, right? But what if you just touch the end of the, this is the flame, and what if I just keep my hand over the flame? Does it burn? Of course, yes. But if this is a flame, some people tell that I am doing a magic and I can cross my fingers on the flame, nothing is happening. So how is it? Because we will understand. Please do not try all these things at home to give an experiment on that. Yes. So outermost zone, which undergoes complete combustion, is the hottest part, and it is a non-luminous zone. What do you mean by non-luminous? Luminous is something which gives out light. It is non-luminous zone. If the current is not there in your house, do you light? Okay, of course, yes. If you have an inverter, that is another thing. But do you light a candle or do you burn your LPG for that? Simple. We light a candle. Why? Because it gives us light, luminous light, which we can see. Correct? But outermost zone is a non-luminous zone here. Then middlemost zone, where it undergoes partial combustion, is yellow color, is moderately hot. Moderately means that is why you are able to cross your fingers on the candle, not the outermost part. The innermost zone, which is nothing but vapors and black in color, is the luminous zone. That is from that point what we get the light. Now here what happens, flame being such a small, we cannot identify this zone and how it is giving light. But that is the structure of the flame. Now since outermost zone being very hot, usually goldsmith use the outermost zone to melt the gold and silver ornaments. Now if you have seen, nowadays these techniques are not used because there are machines which can easily melt the gold or silver very easily. But in earlier what they used to do was, they used to take a candle and take a small blower, if in case if this is my gold, something is there. So they used to blow through the candle of the outermost zone only, because outermost zone of the flame is very hot. It is the hottest part which is used to melt gold. Now simple technique or experiment if you have to try, take a small rod, very thin wire kind of a thing, hold it to the candle. So when you keep the rod here, by holding it here, what we see that is, the rod which is inside is not actually very hot. Of course we cannot touch and see, that itself will be hot, but the rod which is actually touching the outermost zone part, that will actually turn red. This tells us that outermost zone is the hottest part. Simple thing, I'll tell you. While during Diwali, we burn crackers or we burn those sticks and all, right? Try taking the stick to the innermost zone of the candle. It will take time to burn or litter, correct? But take your stick and just keep to the outermost part. It will litter or it will strike very quickly. That's because outermost zone undergoes complete combustion. Now you cannot tell, by taking the paper, I'll hold a paper will start burning. Quite difficult. That is why I gave an example of a wire. If you hold a wire, the wire what you see here temperature wise it is moderately hot, but which is touching the outermost zone here will be almost turned red. So outermost zone is the hottest part, which is used by the goldsmith to melt gold and silver. So this is the interesting part of the flame, which probably you knew or you did not know about it, but these are the things. So a very important question for 3 or 2 marks, where you have to draw, label and explain these things. So today's class we understood the interesting things about how to control fire and what is flame. So we are left out with the last 2 parts, that is fuel and efficiency, and what happens if you burn fossil fuels and why we have to stop burning fossil fuels. So in today's class, whatever we have understood, if you have any doubt, you can call on the same day of the video set. Thank you.